Welcome. I'm Carl Brookins, mystery author. This is program number 21 in our series. With me in the studio, as always, are Ellen Hart, author of the Jane Lollet series, set in the Twin Cities. And our other co-host is William Kent Kruger, author of the Cork O'Connor series, set in Aurora, Minnesota, which is a town that's fictitious in his imagination. A little later, we'll welcome Chicago area author Libby Hellman, the Chicagoland author of Fine Mysteries, the latest of which is a serious departure for her. First, though, we're going to give you some well-thought-out and serious opinions about adaptations of books to movies, good ones and clunkers. Why leave it just to the big award operations, I say. What do you say?
Well thought out and serious, boy.
Right.
Do we have a job ahead of us here?
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't have much time to do it.
You had to bang those notes, didn't you?
Yeah, we're going to talk, although when we talk among ourselves, I know Carl always takes the stand that you can't really compare a book and a film. They're two different mediums.
That was the only thing I was going to say in this segment.
For the sake of argument, we're going to do some comparisons in this segment.
Oh, I think you'll have something to say.
We've all had that experience, those of us who love both books and movies, of reading a great book and then anticipating the film that's being made, and then seeing the film, and more often than not, we're disappointed. But sometimes the adaptations are quite successful. So let's talk first about those books that we feel were successfully adapted to
First,
film.
I have to say, I'm never disappointed because I don't believe in comparing books and film. I take a look at the film and say, is this a good film? Does it have a good script? Does it have good acting, directing, production, all that kind of stuff? I may have read the book. I may not have read the book. Doesn't matter to me. I'm judging the film on film basis, not on whether it came out of or is a good book. Because I think that's like comparing apples and oranges.
Well, but I do. You know, if I've read the book and I've really loved that book and I go and they make a mess of it, I can't help but think,
they made a mess of it.
They made a mess of it, you know. I didn't like it.
I'm the same way. I really do make comparisons.
Yeah.
I understand exactly where you're coming from, and yet
Yeah.
I continue to make those comparisons.
So do I.
Can I say? Yeah. The first film that I want to talk about, which was, I thought, an extremely successful adaptation from a very fine novel, is To Kill a Mockingbird, which is one of my favorite all-time novels. And I think it's successful maybe in large part because it's a book that cries out to be adapted to film. It's a very simple story, truthfully. It has one of the most beautiful narrative voices in all of American literature, and it's such the setting is so evoked in the book that moving it to film, it seems to me, what do I know about cinematography? It seems to be a fairly simple matter. And so when they did it, they had a wonderful voice over for Scout. The town is just beautifully realized on film, and even the music is wonderful in that film. I just thought it was a beautiful adaptation of a really fine book.
All right, so do either of you look at a book and say, this is such a wonderful book, I hope they never make a movie out of it?
No, I usually would like them to make a movie, a good movie. If I see a book.
You know, if they make a bad movie, it's like, big deal. Okay, it was a bad movie.
Yeah.
The book is still a great book.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you always hope that there'll be...
Well, when I read Mystic River, which is the one I'd like to talk about, I thought, oh, this would make a great movie. And it was made into, I think, one of the best adaptations of a book that I've ever seen. And since I'm talking about Dennis Lehane, he wrote Mystic River.
Which you do all the time.
Which I do. He also wrote a book called Gone Baby Gone, which was adapted by Clint Eastwood adapted Mystic River, and Ben Affleck adapted Gone Baby Gone. And I liked Gone Baby Gone. I didn't think it was quite as successful as Mystic River, and partly is because I think of all of Haynes' books in his series, I liked Gone Baby Gone the best, and he bookmarked that book at the beginning and the end with some of the most beautiful writing he's ever done. Set the stage for it, and that was totally missing.
There were things that had to be cut from the book for the movie that I thought were so important to the story itself. Yeah, I agree. The next one I'm going to talk about that I thought, it's been done twice. I thought the first was more successful than the second adaptation, and that's The Postman Always Rings Twice, James M. Cain. And the first adaptation was just, I thought, a wonderful, wonderful noir black and white film starring John Garfield and Lana Turner. You know, it's the story of two people who plot the death of the woman's husband. And not only don't they get away with it, they turn on each other, and it's so perfect of what we think of as in terms of noir. The book was good, the movie was good. The movie, and we've talked about this, wasn't quite as sexual as the book. The Lana Turner character in the book is just marvelously sensual, but the movie was made in a time when there was a fairly strict, the Hays Code was still in effect. And so they had to tone the Lana Turner character down some. That said, I thought they still captured that noir story extremely well.
Very much.
Yeah, well, I've seen, but now I've of course read the book, but I've seen both of the movies, and I thought that I didn't really like either movie. I liked the book a lot. I thought the book was very evocative of the time. I thought the movies both evoked a Hollywood impression of the time, and which was not exactly real. Was not the books. The book, it seemed to me, was so viscerally connected to the way things were in that time. That's so.
Okay. Let's see. Let's move on now. Let's talk about
books that don't work.
Books that were adapted that absolutely didn't work for us. What have you got?
Oh boy. Well,
yeah, we've got a lot to choose from.
I mean, the elephant in the room is the Da Vinci Code. You know, I did like that book. I didn't love the book, but boy, it kept you going. And the Da Vinci Code movie it sank to me like a stone. It was boring. And
yes,
I don't know.
It was.
I thought it was.
I agree with you. But I thought the book was fairly, not boring so much, but there was something. I mean,
it kept you going.
84 hours of no eating and no sleeping and no bathroom breaks.
That's right.
Bothered me a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, my choice for disasters are all of the movies that have been made from the Tony Hillerman novels. I absolutely love the Joe Leaphorn, Jim Chee series from Hillerman set in the Southwest, dealing with the Navajo culture. And I think even though Robert Redford has been involved in the projects, and I love the work he's done, I've just been so disappointed with the stories as they've been brought to the screen.
I like the guy who plays the Jim Chee character. To me,
I thought the Chee character was good.
Yeah.
Joe Leaphorn didn't make it for me. And for me, that was one of the fatal flaws. Right.
Yeah.
That character, not only the actor who played him, but the way he's written in the script.
Well, and they changed the relationship with his wife and I think that's too bad, because that's one of the motivations that makes him Joe Leaphorn who he is, and they've taken that out of the movie.
Yeah, well, the movies for me, those movies for me were badly paced. It seemed to me that they were trying to say, well, now this is an Indian culture, and the Indians are more contemplative and move slower, and they think slower, and so the films move, none of which is true necessarily, and the films seem to me to move really slowly.
I think the Hillerman stuff are books that cry out for great cinematography, and that just wasn't there. It just wasn't there.
No.
Yeah.
What about the other category?
Then the third thing we're going to talk about are those films that we thought were better than the books from which they were adapted.
Moses? Moses.
I thought the film was much more interesting than those 18 to 20 books.
Okay.
What's your offering?
I have two, and just two, and one is In Cold Blood. I'm probably the only person on earth that did not like In Cold Blood. And
you mean the movie?
No, the book.
Oh, the book. I didn't like the book.
And okay.
I did not like it. Excuse me.
I thought the book was not compelling, and I thought the movie was quite good.